Hey, what's up? Everything okay? Moroha was a boy who lived in a world full of magic and mysteries. In this magical world, people who are born with special powers are known as saviors. They go to a special school where they learn to channel their special abilities and use them to fight against supernatural monsters that threaten to destroy the whole world. The world. Most of the students here can become magicians or warriors that use weapons depending on their previous life. Of course, however, our protagonist has a different constitution since he can use both abilities at the same time, basically a prodigy, since this makes him one of the strongest and most unique people on Earth. However, before recovering his memory, he was just a loser who fell asleep on the day of the school opening ceremony and dreamed of one of his lives in which he was the sword master in love with his sister. Because he liked to keep her in the family, he followed an army for her, and they were about to kiss in his dream, but suddenly he is awakened by a girl with pink hair called Satsuki who gives him a head. But just because while the protagonist looks forward he sees the image of the girl in his dreams and the image of Satsuki, suddenly he shouts the name of her past life, and Satsuki is moved to tears when she recognizes him too. She hugs him, calling him brother. And he tells her that he doesn't know her because he doesn't remember anything of his past life at that moment. They notice that a girl named Shizu fainted on the floor. They approach her worried, but suddenly she sees the husband of her past life in Moroha, and she kisses him. Satsuki is now jealous and separates him before beating Shizu. Shizu asks why she cares who she kisses, and Satsuki tells her that she loves the protagonist and that the family should be the first. Anyway, they go to the class where everyone should introduce themselves, and Satsuki says that she wants to be friends with everyone and become the strongest person in the school. She tells everyone to follow her, but they only look at her with disgust, and she feels embarrassed. Later they have a magic class, and for some reason they all go to the sand in swimsuit. But mysteries of life. The teacher explains that there are two types of powers, light and darkness, and that he is going to teach them the basic concepts of the powers of light. Then he does some jutsus to wear fashionable clothes, and the students are impressed. The students try hard to do the same. Satsuki doesn't look good, but decides to show them how it's done, and summons his suit without any problems. But he hears a guy who calls the useless class. He says that maybe if the monsters attacked and destroyed a city or two, the new talents like him would have the opportunity to fight in the front. Satsuki gets offended by this, obviously. And like an aspiring heroine, she goes with the guy and tries to teach him how to be a better human being. She speaks badly to him, and the guy, furious, immediately invokes his battle suit, ready for a fight. Seeing this, the master tries to stop them, but let's say he doesn't try very hard, so he lets the fight begin. Both take out their identification plates, which turn into weapons, and Satsuki attacks the guy with his sword. However, the guy blocks all his attacks with his axe effortlessly. With great speed, he tries to attack him again, but ends up disarmed. The guy tells her to pick up his sword, but when she moves away from him, he taps her on the back and she falls to the ground crying with shame. Moroha runs to her and covers her. The guy makes fun of him, saying that she is a loser who could not even summon her suit. But the protagonist does not say a single word, and sees Satsuki running away embarrassed. He brings her a coffee to cheer her up, and Satsuki says that she doesn't really care about being a heroine. She just wanted to look good in front of him, but ended up looking really bad. And now all she can do is cry. Her tears make the prota challenge the guy to a fight at night, very aware that he is likely to lose. The guy laughs in his face and throws a lot of weapons for him to choose. Our Protoss ends up taking a sword while the guy simply tears off his identification plate and releases his giant axe. He charges against the Protoss, and with a single blow he throws him into the air. Moroha gets up, realizing that he can hardly anticipate the guy's attacks. The guy is very fast and quickly moves behind Moroha to attack him. He manages to stop the attack, but the impact throws him to the ground. Moroha gets up again and starts attacking the guy, asking him to apologize with Satsuki. But the guy blocks all his attacks easily before attacking him, breaking his sword into pieces. However, this does not stop the protagonist from jumping at him with his broken sword, just to be thrown to the ground over and over again. He gets up and attacks the guy again, but this time the guy disarms him. And before Moroha can recover his sword, he appears in front of him, ready to strike the final blow. Suddenly, flashbacks of his time as a swordsman master appear in front of him. And remember how he promised Sasuke that he would never lose. Sasuke and Shursui are also there to see the fight. And Satsuki yells at Moroha to kiss him if he wins. Moroha could even defeat a god with a kiss, and instinctively grabs his identification plate, transforming it into a sword. He charges at the guy with incredible speed, and no matter how hard he tries, he can't hit Moroha, who dodges every attack. Their weapons collide, and Moroha ends up breaking the guy's axe, who falls to the ground due to the impact. Moroha also collapses, confused about how a loser like him can win, but Satsuki does not care and runs to him, giving him a big hug. Later, Moroha wakes up and finds a girl floating on him, and she kisses him before running quickly to hide behind the director, who informs him that the girl put her hand back lost. Then he hears Satsuki scream and discovers that the director sits down to explain something, but Moroha has a hard time concentrating because there are two big distractions in front of him. But hey, the director reveals that he is different from the others and that he can retain the memories of his two past lives. Moroha still doesn't understand anything, so he leaves. The next day in class, a boy asks Moroha and Shizu to go with him. He takes them to the terrace where the boy apologizes to Moroha first, because the guy who fought him yesterday was his younger brother. Then he says he saw a great ability in Moroha, and that's why he wants him to join his special group to fight deadly monsters. The guy tells Moroha that they will fight monsters only once a month, but it is a dangerous job and there have also been deaths. The advantage is that they get a scholarship for it, and when Moroha hears the amount, he accepts it immediately, because he cares more about the money than his life. Shizu also ends up accepting, and the guy tells him to keep her as a reserve. Satsuki was listening to all this, so he runs to the rooftop and asks the guy to include her too. The guy tells her that he doesn't even know who she is, and then tells her that she's not good enough to be kept in the reserve. Later, the guy takes Moroha and Shizu to meet the other members of his group. After reciting a vow, the group begins their practice, and Moroha works until exhaustion. While walking back after the training session, she begins to complain about how tired she is with Shizu when Satsuki arrives. Accusing them of making her wait, she has found the cheapest restaurant in the city and asks Moroha to go out to dinner, but Shirshu interrupts her and tells her that they are too tired for their nonsense. Moroha is willing to join Satsuki, but Shirshu keeps kicking her out, saying that they are employed people and do not have time for like her. Satsuki to comfort her. Seeing her cry, he feels sorry for her and walks with her, offering to spend the day with her during her rest. The next day, she makes Shirshu join her in the mall so that she can buy a gift for Moroha with her help. They go to several stores, but Satsuki is still indecisive and they go out to buy candy. Suddenly, the sky darkens and a giant monster in the shape of a snake emerges from the water. Everyone runs away in panic and a child is left behind crying. Sasuke sees that Shizu has frozen like a deer and she herself is terrified. However, she does not want to continue being a coward forever, so she takes out her identification plate and releases her sword, ready to face the snake. She orders Shizu to take the child to a safe place while she attacks the snake monster. She manages to make a big cut, but that does not stop the snake that prepares to attack her. But fortunately, Shizu arrives to support Satsuki. She makes a graffiti in the air that releases ice magic to the snake monster. They agree to fight together against the snake, and this chases Satsuki inside the mall. Shizu throws an ice ray wave and Satsuki cuts even more the snake, but before he could celebrate his victory, more snake heads emerge from the ground and realize as a horror that it is a hydra. Satsuki is thrown to the ground and is about to be attacked by his poisonous gas, but Shizu interposes the salvo and begins to become stone. Moroha begs the special force that helps the girls, but refuses, as it would need an army of 100 to defeat the 9-headed hydra, which is an incredibly strong monster. Moroha remembers his childhood when he saw his parents impotent taken to the emergency room and he is not ready to lose anyone again. He shouts at the group for being cowards and runs to save his girls. Meanwhile, Satsuki holds Shizu in his arms and the hydra wraps her with his tongue, ready to swallow her. She cries for Moroha and he arrives just in time to cut the tongue of the hydra. He attacks the hydra again, stabbing one of her eyes before launching continuous attacks against her. The hydra dominates him, but he keeps fighting. Shizu gets up and tells him that he has another power. Suddenly, Moroha remembers his previous life, when he was a wizard. With great determination, he caravans some spells in the air. While dodging the attacks of the hydra swallows him. But he does not stop and finally completes his spell. Flying the head of the hydra in 1,000 pieces, condenses a fire attack into a small ball and enchants his sword with it, covering it with black flames. The Prota then charges against the hydra with his enchanted sword and completely destroys it with a single attack, while the snake heads fall to the ground in slow motion. Sasuke and Shizu also return to normal. Later, upon learning of Sasuke's bravery, the captain of the special forces decides to let her join the team as well, but only as a substitute. He is happy because now he can spend more time with the Prota. The next day they spend time in a restaurant talking about the Hydra. His director declared to the media that the 3 students defeated the Hydra together, when the Prota did most of the work, and Satsuki is not happy that the credit has been stolen. Moroha says it was not even a big problem, and Shursui says that the Hydra was so powerful that only one of the heroes of that rank could have defeated her on her own. Just at that moment, this blonde arrives at the restaurant and sits at the table next to them. He seems to be a foreigner and speaks English, something that the poor waitress does not understand. Satsuki intervenes and offers to help, but then the blonde starts speaking Japanese. For his disgust, he makes an elegant request, and Satsuki gets angry and tells him to go somewhere else because they don't sell those things in traditional cafes. Moroha has to prevent her from hurting the blonde, but Satsuki decides to teach him a lesson by serving him a drink that looks delicious, saying that it is the specialty of the chef. However, when the blonde takes a sip, he immediately spits it out with disgust. Suddenly, Moroha feels weird and looks around to see that the blonde was not there. The tea drops are almost still, and he wonders if time has frozen. However, the blonde boy appears right behind him, and Moroha realizes that it is his power that allows him to move so fast that everything else seems to be still. The blonde man moves very quickly in front of Moroha, ready to hit him, but he stops at the last moment and then undoes his ability, creating a mini storm. He asks the protagonist if he could not move or if he did not move on purpose, and Moroha chooses option 1. The man is disappointed and leaves. Everyone is confused about what the hell just happened here. Shizuha now recognizes the guy as Edmund, a S-rank hero and the head of the Special Forces of England. The infamous fight of Moroha with the Hydra has reached all the S-ranks. Everyone is eager to meet him. The next day, while heading to the training arena, they meet the loli from before, who kissed Moroha the other day. She introduces herself as Maya, a relative of the director. She explains that she awakened her powers at an early age, so she can't go to school like normal children. Shizu seems to know her, and when Moroha asks about it, she says that her older brother is the school president. After that, they go to their practice class, where a joint session is being organized for first and second year students. A second-year boy named Kami, who is also a member of the Special Forces, he advances and begins to act like the most shameful boy of all time. He is jealous of Moroha for receiving all the attention lately, and challenges him to a duel. Tommy summons his suit, takes out his staff and strikes a level 12 spell in the air, sending a ray of fire to Moroha, but blocks it easily. In return, the protagonist grabs a level 3 spell and sends it to a much more powerful fire blast. Then he goes to the principal's office, but she is not there and instead finds Amaya. She only called him because she wanted to meet him, and for him to stay, she asks him if he is curious about Shizu and his older brother. She reveals that Shizu's grandfather was the guy who gave all his money to Black to establish this school, and his family has been gathering important positions here. Shizu's brother is quite ambitious, and has been using it as a tool to gain more fame and success. Later, the protagonist is born outside, and Shizu sits next to him, admiring him, while Moroha dreams of his past life where he was a magician so powerful that he could bring the Ice Age to a kingdom in a blink of an eye. In that life, Shursu was the witch of the underworld and Moroha's lover, and they ruled the Frozen Kingdom. Moroha wakes up from his sleep, thinking that he was too realistic, and then finds Shursu sleeping on him. He gets scared and goes back, asking him what he's doing, but she keeps flirting with him. Sasuke arrives soon and scolds him for being so affectionate. At night, our protagonist goes to Shizu's house and has dinner with her and her brother, who tries to pressure him, then asks him if he knows the condition to be AS rank. Moroha says no, the condition is to defeat a monster that cannot be defeated one by one, which Moroha surpassed by defeating the Hydra. Moroha tells him that it was a group effort, and the boy without even worrying about his sister tells him that he will be as certified as the rank if the girls admit that he did everything alone, saying that if Moroha becomes a rank S, he will lose all his freedom, and that he will become an asset that will always be controlled by the company. His brother, however, tells him to shut up, because he has no voice or vote in family decisions. Later, Shizu apologizes to Moroha on behalf of his brother. He tells him that he is fine and asks him about his room. She shows him the room, but he says sadly that he is not allowed to decorate his room or spend time with other members of his family, because the elders make the decisions, and she is forced to live as a slave. She remembers her previous life when she was a slave. She was forced to clean the floors and feed the prisoners. It is then that she met the young Moroha, who was captured as the most dangerous prisoner. After that, the mayor leaves him in his neighborhood with some expensive food. He realizes that he is being followed and faces the stalker, saying that he does not want to fight and that they should solve things peacefully. However, peace was never an option for the stalker, who pulls out his identification plate and summons his sword and attacks the hunter. His weapons collide and also his bodies, and is surprised to realize that the hunter is a woman. She turns her weapon into two swords and begins to attack him, saying that she will show that it is not worth it for her boss. He manages to block his attack, and she sends a powerful wind attack that counteracts her attack and then hits her. She falls to the ground and then runs away. It turns out that Edmund had sent his female mayor to fight Moroha to test his strength, but expresses his disappointment to Shizu's brother and tells him that he can't nominate Moroha for rank S because he wasn't good enough. Shizu's brother says he knocked down the Hydra alone, but Edmund thinks he did it with the help of the two girls, who could also have great potential. The next day, Moroha goes to her bedroom to find Maya, who tells her that she will be her roommate from now on, or if she wants her, it can also be her pillow. He asks her to leave, but she informs him that that was the director's decision, and Moroha ends up sleeping in the same bed as her. Meanwhile, Shizu's brother tells her to go abroad and study there because Edmund saw potential in her. He says that as England does not have many talented wizards, they are really interested in recruiting her. She fights with her brother, who simply tells her that it was decided by the family. Shizu sadly goes to school, where she meets Moroha and the rest. She smiles, but gets jealous when Satsuki tells her that Maya has started living with him. Later, they have lunch together, and Satsuki proudly presents her sandwiches and mocks Maya's lunch. The two argue, while Shizu takes advantage of the opportunity to feed Moroha with the stuffed bread she has already eaten. Satsuki gets jealous and accuses Moroha of cheating. Because of this, Moroha agrees to feed her. After that, Moriaki and the others leave, and Shizu can only see them leave. The next day at school, they notice that Shizu has disappeared, and Maya runs to inform them that Shizu is forced to go abroad. Moroha decides to do everything possible to communicate with her, and calls her home while she is having dinner with Edmund and her brother. She calls under the pretext of being the principal, and Shizu's brother tells her to make the call quickly. She is surprised when she hears Moroha's voice, and he asks her why she didn't come to school today. She tries to lie, saying she is cold, but Moroha tells her to stop lying. Then she reveals that she is going to England to study, and Moroha asks her if it is her decision. She explains her situation, and he tells her not to listen to her selfish brother. She tells him that she has no other option, and thinks about her previous life and how she was marked as a slave. She thinks she is still one. But this time it is his family that controls his life. With tears in his eyes, Shizu tells him that everything will be fine and hangs up the phone. She returns to the scene pretending to be fine. Suddenly, the mayor tells him that they have guests and the guy asks him to fire them, but it is too late, since Moroha breaks into the house after breaking the window. Shizu's brother is furious and says he will be arrested for harassment. But Moroha only says shut up. Then she goes back to Edmund and says that she is making a mistake by taking Shizu with her because she is not worth the effort. She declares that she defeated the Hydra alone, but Shizu tells her to take her words, because if she becomes AS rank she will become a national weapon without absolutely no freedom. She starts crying, and asks her why is she willing to lose that freedom for her. Because they can always be together again after she finishes studying. Moroha says that she does not care about the details, but wants her to be honest with herself. Shizu confesses that she wants to be with him and runs to him. He attracts her to give her a big hug, in the same way he did in his previous lives. He takes it and jumps out of the room. While his brother tries to stop him, Satsuki and Maya arrive in a car at that moment, and Moroha gets in with Shirsue. Shirsue's brother asks Edmund to bring his sister back, and he refuses, saying that it will cause diplomatic problems. Then the guy decides to use his authority as a high-ranking government official to issue an official request. Edmund chases him, and the attack of his servants makes Moroha's car turn. He uses some chains to stabilize them, and then Edward and his combat crew arrive there to face them. Edmund demands that they return the girl, but Moroha refuses and instead challenges him to a duel to show that he is really as strong as AS rank. Edmund accepts the fights, and Moroha asks his girls to invoke their weapons. As he invokes as the fight begins, and Edmund invokes his sword, saying that it is bigger. He charges against Moroha, who manages to block his attack and hit him, but Edmund blocks his sword with his own hands and hurts him. While his servant is fighting against Satsuki Shirso, Moroha casts a spell, but Edmund simply pierces him without moving. Moroha asks what that spell is, and Edmund explains that, by concentrating all his magic around his body, he becomes invisible for a second. Moroha decides to use a more powerful spell, but Edmund appears before him, throwing him away. Moroha trusts in using his true strength now, so he begins to sing a spell, and Edmund uses the same trick to attack him, but this time Moroha is faster and dodges the attack. He continues his spell to enchant his sword with flames, and then charges against the warrior of rank S. Moroha's attack breaks Edmund's sword, leaving him surprised. But before he can cause him any harm, Edmund pulls out another identification plate and invokes a complete plate armor with a huge shield. Both are super strong and attack fiercely. However, many times that Moroha attacks, Edmund blocks him with his shield. He continues attacking and manages to devour Edmund's facial armor. This infuriates Edmund, who attacks him furiously, and Moroha wonders how he can win and save Shirshu now. Suddenly he remembers his past life with Shirshu, who stayed by his side like his wife, even when he destroyed nations by whim. Suddenly Moroha remembers the spells of his life, jumps high in the air and begins to cast a very high-level magic spell. Then Moroha casts his spell, sends an ice dragon that turns the area into a frozen land and ends up freezing everything within his reach. Edmund gets in the way of the ice wave, laughing and declares that he has found the hero of the 7th rank. Later that night, Moroha and his girls go to the house of the director, where Mai treats his wounds. Moroha reveals that he did not defeat Edmund, but only froze him so that he could not move. At that moment Edmund arrives there to talk to Moroha and Shizu, admitting his defeat and informing them that he will stop his transfer to England. Then he nominates Moroha for the S rank and leaves. Later Shirsui informs Moroha that his brother told him that if he can't go to England with Edmund, he needs to stay close to Moroha and seduce him. Moroha laughs and says that it will work. Almost a month after that incident, the leader of the Special Forces tells them that they will have a summer camp on a small island. Everyone is excited, but the leader warns them to behave well in the camp. Meanwhile, Moroha goes to a store to buy a swimsuit and sees a girl named Momo, who is confused about what to choose. Moroha chooses a swimsuit for her, and she runs away embarrassed. Later they meet in front of the school, and the director writes some spells to transport the students to a summer camp. There, Moroha receives a call from Edmund about a meeting with all the others rank C. While they send the photos they took in the camp to the director. Suddenly Moroha remembers her past life with her, and has always left Satsuki behind in the fights to protect her, tells her to give up her stupid idea of defeating Momo, because she is a pathetic loser against the incredible speed of Momo. He begs her and he agrees to train her, feeling sorry for her, but informs her that he still cannot guarantee his victory. The next day, Asu is proud of his skills for the barbecue. Moroha talks with a boy about the S-rank meeting, and Kami interrupts them, making fun of him saying that his S-rank promotion will be cancelled. At night, Moroha trains Satsuki to run on the water and give a speech about the willpower. They join the others and watch the fireworks together, while the camp is coming to an end. Because after that, a meeting of all the heroes of rank S is convened. At the Ed Moon meeting, he asks everyone to vote for Moroha to be one of the S ranks. The Russian and French executives vote against. While the United States remains undecided, Japan votes for him, claiming that he defeated the 9-headed Hydra in seconds. The Russian and French executives ask for proof, but there is none, so they make fun of others for believing things so easily. Edmund tries to tell them that Moroha beat him in a fair fight, but just at that moment the Japanese executive feels a sharp pain in the chest and warns everyone that a monster is approaching. Suddenly, an alarm rings that warns them of the presence of a monstrous creature. The monster is about 300 meters long. The captain of the Special Forces informs the team about his superior power and location, saying that the Hydra Moro defeated the other day is tiny compared to this one. The monster goes directly to his room. But instead of ordering the team to fight, the captain informs them that they will retire due to the absence of the executive of Japan. Some students try to convince him that they should stay and fight, but then the helicopter that was monitoring the monster is destroyed. The captain says that the monster is very intelligent or aggressive, so they cannot risk fighting him, asks everyone to pack their bags and evacuate with the rest of the islanders, taking them to a safe place. Kami is the first to leave, and the others leave shortly after him. Moroha also tells his girls to start packing. Meanwhile, at the meeting, the Russian lady prevents the Japanese executive from leaving, and tells him that Moroha should show his worth by defeating that creature. The Frenchman agrees with her and applies a spell to sleep the Japanese executive. Back on the island, the helicopters are flying over, ordering everyone to evacuate the ships. Moroha planned to stay behind and fight, and it is not surprising that his girls also want to join him. Even the captain joins them because he remembers the words that Moroha said when he went to save the Hydra girls. The captain says that the 5 can be able to do a miracle, but then the rest of the special force joins them to finish the monster. They draw their sword and recite their oath. Soon the giant monster becomes visible from its location, and the captain speculates that he feels attracted by the sound because it is directed directly to the lighthouse. He decides to use that fact to attract the monster, and plans his strategy that is based on the magicians inflicting most of the damage from a distance, while Maya protects them with her barrier. The warriors attack from a distance closer, and finally Morocha and the captain will be the ones to finish when the monster weakens. His plan is quickly destroyed because just when the monster appears on the shore, the wave that causes interrupts the electricity and the siren cannot be reproduced. Shizu makes some garabatos and launches an attack of the monster ice, freezing his leg. The rest of the members join and throw more elemental attacks. They manage to cut one of his legs, but it's not worth celebrating because small monsters like worms come out of his wound. While everyone else takes care of the smaller monsters, the captain jumps to the main monster. Remembering how he has been losing against Moroha in his training lately, he asked him how he could become stronger, and Moroha told him that it was a matter of spirit. Then he launches against the monster with total determination and manages to fly the leg. While the rest of the group fights against the smallest creatures, Momo informs the captain that the monster's left leg has been destroyed and that now they will aim at his torso. Suddenly, heads appear all over the monster's body, and the captain decides that they are not rivals for the monster and orders Momo to retire with the rest of the group. The monster then imitates a loud and deafening scream, and everything is covered in the ears, unable to tolerate it. Even Moroha covers himself with a magic barrier and struggles to stay focused. The rest of the group collapses on the ground. Then the giant monster sends more monstrous creatures. Satsuki remembers Moroha's words and goes crazy. She charges at him and begins to cut the worms. While Momo runs towards Moroha and informs her about Satsuki's bravery, the monster begins to turn to one side and Moroha realizes that she is trying to face Satsuki, who is in danger at this rate. He asks Momo to help Satsuki while he fights alone against the monster. He jumps on his back and wonders how he can defeat him, when suddenly the god of the armor of the trap reminds him of a forbidden destructive spell of his past life. He pushes his sword on the monster's back and begins to drag him. Meanwhile, Maya creates a barrier to protect the group against the worms. Satsuki is exhausted, but still continues to cut the worms and collapses on the ground. Momo runs to her and helps her reach the protective barrier. The monster begins to inhale air for another devastating blow, and Moroha thinks of her friends and gets an incredible boost of energy due to the power of friendship. In reality, she is carving a magic circle on the monster's back and nails her sword right in the center. The magic circle begins to shine, and the monster explodes in the air. The Japanese executive wakes up just when the monster disappears from the radar, and is very proud that Moroha could have destroyed it. He hacks into the rest of the S rank. For the great displeasure of the French and Russian executives, they have nothing more to say against Moroha becoming an S rank. But Edmund suggests that, since Moroha is still a student, they should delay the delivery of the rank until it is graduated. Meanwhile, Maya treats the wounded while Moroha spends time with Satsuki. They are having a nice time before Shizu arrives there. Several days later, Moroha finds a love letter in her locker, asking her to meet the remittance behind the gym. He panics to read it, but decides to go see the girl who sent him anyway. The girl turns out to be the new transfer student from Russia. She tells him that she fell in love with him at that time, and Moroha wonders what kind of nonsense is that. The girl tells him that she loves him and asks him to start a relationship with her. He does not believe her and thinks that he is planning something. To his disappointment, Moroha rejects her. She introduces herself in class as Elena. Even Shizu has a problem with Elena and gets up to ask her about her hidden motives. She suspects she's a spy, a kidnapper, or worse, a murderer. Everyone is shocked to hear those accusations. Elena reveals her desire to chase Moroha as her boyfriend, which makes Satsuki very angry. Meanwhile, Satsuki tells Elena that she won't let anyone go out with Moroha, and the dwarf starts flirting with her and asking her permission to meet with Moroha in her place. Satsuki almost lets herself go. Then Shursui joins to save her from being more embarrassed. He asks the girl what she likes about Moroha. This nonsense continues for a while longer. Everyone in the class envies the infinite popularity and pride of the protagonist. Later, in the Special Forces Club, Satsuki and the protagonist about the foreign student who confessed to her and asks him how the hell he knows. Maya arrives there and tells him that the whole school knows. Later at night, when the protagonist returns to his dormitory, he finds Elena waiting for him at the door. Shizu and Sasuke immediately put on protective mode, but ignoring them, Elena boldly asks for a date tomorrow. Satsuki cannot let our protagonist go alone with her, and says that she and Shizu will also join the date, but Shizu tells her that he has other plans and leaves. The next day at his appointment, Elena arrives with a costume made by a catgirl, and starts acting weird. When she finds out that everything in the anime is not real, she is ashamed and takes off the bandage for the hair. He enters depression again, and while the protagonist comforts her, he receives a call from Satsuki, who tells her sadly that she can't attend the appointment because she has to help her superior with some issues of last minute. Now that they are alone, Elena takes the protagonist's hand and starts walking with him. They go to a McDonald's to have lunch, which she has not tried before. Our protagonist asks her if she likes her hamburger, but she tells her that she is insipid. She says she wanted to try it before, but she never had time to queue. Moroha thinks it's because she was busy with school, but Elena tells her that there is no school in her country of origin and that they teach their children military style. Moroha tells her that they should have more appointments so that she can enjoy. The surprised Elena asks her if she does not suspect her or something like that. He asks her if she is here to hurt her and she denies it, so he tells her that it is fine. After that they go to a studio to take pictures, and then to a game area where Moroha won a cute doll for her. Meanwhile, Shizu is talking on the phone with Edmund's maid and asks for Elena. The girl tells him that Elena is a cold-blooded murderer and leaves Shizu stunned. Elena is now in a park with Moroha, and they watch people playing ball. Moroha tells her that she dreamed of playing ball with her uncle when she was young, and she asks him if his father also abandoned her. He reveals that his parents died when he was younger, and that his uncle and aunt raised him. Later, Lena is in her room, and when a talking crow visits her, it turns out that she is here on a mission of the Russian executive of rank S, who has told her to use all possible means to eliminate Moroha. She tells the crow that Moroha's weakness is his family, but he says that for now he must focus on seducing him and becoming his weakness. The crow tells her that if she completes the mission successfully, only then she will be able to see her sister. At school the next day, Elena finds a note in her locker, and it is from Shizu, asking her to meet her later. She goes to meet with Shizu, who reveals that she knows about her true identity. Elena is a murderer who kills other superhumans by orders. She tells Elena that she does not need to explain anything because she is going to defeat her here and keep the Proto safe from her. The fight begins, and Shizu begins to cast a spell sending fragments of ice to Elena. Elena manages to dodge some, but then is hit by the fragments of ice that begin to freeze her. Somehow she dominates the attack, and while Shizu continues to send fragments of ice to her, Elena appears behind her and throws a knife at her. Shizu suddenly summons an ice dragon to block the attack. To Elena's surprise, the dragon sends a powerful ice ray to Elena and keeps her alert. Although Shizu also attacks her when she is unprepared, Elena realizes that she is not strong enough to withstand Shizu's attacks without revealing her true power. Then he tears his ID card and invokes his strange sword. He absorbs Shirsu's attacks with his sword and attacks him. Shirsu sends him a lightning bolt. Elena also cancels it. And then she jumps to destroy the dragon that was formed with Shirsu's staff. Shirsu loses his staff and realizes that now he is in trouble. However, Elena points at him with her sword and tells him to forget everything he saw today. She tells him to keep this duel a secret and not to interfere when he chases Moroha. Shizu asks her what will happen if she breaks the promise, and Elena says that then she will eliminate her. However, she will not let her go without giving her a lesson, so she stabs her in the leg and puts her on her knees, saying that she will leave a scar on her face so that she can never show it to Moroha again. Shizu replies that Moroha will not hate her just for having a scar, and Elena's determination blinks. Just at that moment, a teacher arrives there to see what is happening, and Elena runs away. But now Shirso is sure that the girl killer still has hopes of redemption. At school the next day, Moroha realizes that both Shirso and Elena are missing. So at night he goes to Shirso's house to see how he is. He sees that his legs are injured and asks him what happened. She tells him that he is fine and tells him about the Maniators. She informs her that they are a group of murderers from Russia that consume the mana of magical people like them, and that Edmund was also hurt by the Maniator. Moroha is surprised when she tells him that Elena is a Maniator and reveals her pain from yesterday. He worries after hearing this and hugs her tightly, telling her to be careful. He tells her that Moroha knows the truth about her. At that moment, Moroha and Satsuki arrive outside her bedroom and ring the doorbell, but she does not answer. Then Satsuki opens her window and finds her. Now she has no choice but to let them in. Satsuki prepares dinner, while Moroha tries to heal Elena's wounds. At night she falls asleep crying. But when she wakes up she sees that Moroha has also fallen asleep, holding her hand. The next day, Mai and Momo also join to help her recover, but Momo, instead of helping to cook, lights a fire. Satsuki then prepares Russian dishes for Elena to feel better. At night, a girl from the Special Force also visits her, and suggests that she join the branch of Japan after graduating. Moroha arrives, and Elena rushes to welcome her. She secretly asks her to invite her to a date next week. After a week, as he promised, Moroha invites him to a date at a sports park. Meanwhile, Toshizu is worried about him and calls him. When he does not answer, Elena calls Satsuki and finds out about Moroha's date with Elena. In the park, Elena takes out her ID card and reveals herself as a man-eater, but he is not surprised. Suddenly, she jumps to attack him, but he blocks her blows with his sword. She keeps fighting and Moroha realizes that she is really strong. When her swords collide once again, she is surprised that she can absorb the mana of her sword. She throws a fire ray, but she sends it away with each of her blows. Her sword becomes more useless. Even so, she attacks him with determination, and she captures even more mana, and kicks him in the chest. She continues attacking him, but he can only defend himself, and suddenly remembers his past life as a swordsman. He gets an energy boost and charges at her. The fight between Moroha and Elena continues, but she is exhausted and losing. He offers his hand and tells her that he will help her save her brother. Just at that moment, Shizu arrives with his staff and tells them to stop fighting. She tells Elena that she does not have a brother, and her talking cat arrives suddenly, telling her that Shizu is right. He tells him that it was a fragment of imagination that he planted inside his head to make him believe that he has a brother to be able to manipulate her to finish the mission. Elena is very depressed when she hears this, and the cat takes this opportunity to control his mind, making him fight Moroha. His eyes turn red and he attacks him furiously. Moroha blocks his attacks, but she absorbs his mana in her sword. However, he gets an incredible boost of energy and stops her by destroying her sword and cutting her identification plate. She collapses to the ground, but he runs to her and catches her. Moroha holds her and offers to be her family, and she begins to cry while hugging her. A few days later, Moroha goes to Russia to find the Lightning Emperor, the Russian executive who forced Elena to become a real man. He stops a car and asks the man inside. He uses his phone to translate and asks about the Lightning Emperor. When the man finds out about him, he tears off the identification plate and proceeds to attack Moroha. Moroha writes the attack and remembers a spell from his past life, which gives him an energy boost. He begins to write and throws an electric storm attack. The guy tries to block it with his shield, but finally he collapses on the ground. She talks for a while and expresses her disappointment with Edmund because he is cooperating with a personal war against the Russian executive. Moroha tells her that she doesn't need to help him, but she ignores him and thinks about what he did to the guy they took as Ren. Moroha told the guy that he was going to wage a war against the Russian executive. Angela told him to keep his mouth shut, but he didn't listen and told him that he didn't care to keep prisoners or interrogate them. The guy had laughed at him, calling him stupid and naive, but Moroha took out his sword and pushed it into the man's stomach and kicked him to the ground. They continue with their dinner, and Moroha tells him that what he did will not kill the man. He tells him his strategy to continue chasing the leaders of the District of Russia to attract the attention of the Emperor of the Ray. Angela appreciates it when she tells him that the guy will go directly to the Emperor of the Ray, and as he said, the man meets the Russian executive through a mirror and admits that he was defeated by Moroha, and she coldly tells him to die. Then she hits the guy with a lightning, ending his life at night. Moroha notices that Angela is not there in her bed, leaves her cabin looking for her, and finds her talking on the phone at the academy. Maya meets the girls and observes that they get along. With Elena, they talk about Moroha for a while, and expresses his concern for him, who is now in another district of Russia, defeating another group of men. He continues his journey and defeats more leaders of the district, and even destroys a building to neutralize a district. This continues for a few more days, while defeating more district leaders. In a district, Moroha tells Angela to take care of her equipment, and goes to face him. One of them jumps from the sky and introduces himself as Kirshin. The boy tells Moroha to go back to Japan, since he doesn't want anything for him. At the same time, they can't disobey the orders of the Lightning Emperor. The fight begins and Kirshin attacks him. Moroha realizes that he needs to fight in the open. Otherwise, it could be a disadvantage for him. Suddenly, two girls come out of their hiding place and attack him. He manages to dodge the twins' attacks and they duplicate to attack him. He defeats the duplicate, and the twins attack him with anger for being the reason for the guy's death. He manages to block their attacks with some difficulty, and suddenly, a huge fireball approaches them. He pushes the girls to save them and gets hit while he explodes. However, he manages to survive and escapes the fire, wondering if the twins are safe. Suddenly, he is surrounded by a thick fog of poisonous gas, and a guy with a funny mask approaches him. He attacks the boy with his magic and hits him on the head, making him fall to the ground. Cursing jumps towards him from the sky and realizes that they are trying to surround him. He jumps to the sky and faces Cursing, who charges at him, but recites a spell and throws Cursing to the ground over 2 girls. Moroha has defeated 4 so far, and there are 4 more. He finds another girl and asks her why she was soft with him with her attacks. The girl tells him that it is because he saved the twins. Then he hits her in the forehead, which makes her fall and tells him to inform the others that he also defeated her. The twins begin to chase them, wanting revenge for the guy, but he does not understand who they mean. Then he finds Angela against the guy who was left out. The guy points at them with a mirror and sees the Lightning Emperor inside him, writing his death spell. Moroha rushes to push Angela out of the way of the spell, and a huge lightning dragon comes from heaven and attacks Moroha. Angela cries in horror and hopes that somehow she survives the attack. At night, Moroha has nightmares about her past lives with Satsuki Shursui. When she wakes up, she remembers what happened the night before with the Emperor of Lightning. She had fallen to the ground and Angela took her to her cabin and made sure she rested. She survives and manages to recover from her wounds, and then they talk to the leader of the Katia district. She tells them that she is actually half Japanese and half Russian. They keep talking for a while, and Katia asks Moroha for a favor. He must help her free one of her friends from the control of the Emperor of Lightning, so they take a train to start the new rescue mission inside. Katia tells him that the Emperor of Lightning takes the orphans under control and makes them fight each other, making the survivors become the bodyguards of the Emperor of Lightning. Moroha remembers Elena and how she suffered the same fate and decides to save Katia's friend when they finally reach their destination. Moroha hits her head again, and she loses consciousness so that he can keep her safe on the train. After that, he and Angela go to the streets. He tells her that she should not go with him, since he cannot get distracted by protecting her, but she says that she can take care of herself. She ignores him and goes alone. Inside the palace, the guy with whom Angela fought appears before the Emperor of the Lightning, but she coldly tells him that the failure is not acceptable. Then he orders his death. Then he goes to the balcony and uses his magic eyes to locate Moroha, who is waiting for him in an empty land. She starts writing with power. The sky becomes darker and cloudy, with lightning coming out of him. She sends an army of soldiers and lightning animals. He begins to cut the lightning creatures one by one, but there are too many for him. The more he fights, the more lightning creatures come from the sky. Even so, he continues to cut them with determination, and he gets closer and closer to the Lightning Emperor with each step. She is surprised that he is able to resist his army, something that no one else had managed to do before. His bodyguard tells him that Moroha is moving so fast that it is difficult for his lightning creatures to keep up with him. She laughs at this and tells the guard that he will respond to his military tactics with his own. Suddenly, a large group of girls and boys appears before him, and realizes that these are the orphans of which Katia was talking. One of them tries to attack him, but the lightning monster tries to consume the child. Moroha kills the creature and saves the child. Instead of attacking him, the lightning creatures attack the group of children and begs the Lightning Emperor to stop this cruel battle. But she laughs like a psychopath and continues to send her creatures to attack the group. Knowing that she can't let anyone die before her eyes, Katia's Mila Yuli is among the group and uses her magic to prevent Moroha from moving, and he kneels trying to free himself. 2 of the girls and a man launch themselves against him, and the same do the lightning creatures. But suddenly Angela arrives just in time to save Moroha once again. Not only her, but also Katia, Satsuki and Shizu arrive to help him. At that moment, Elena also arrives, like Satsuki and Shizu. Using teleportation magic, she tells the group of boys and girls to stop fighting Moroha. She tells them how she got rid of being a man-eater, and now she is herself. She begs them to get rid of her as well, just like she did with Moroha's help. Katia goes with Yuli, trying to make her get her memories back, and Elena cuts Yuli's identification plate and finally remembers Katia. Then Angela tells everyone to eliminate the lightning beasts, and everyone agrees, determined to finish the Emperor of Lightning and his army. They begin to attack the creatures and eliminate them one by one with their combined efforts and their magic. The Emperor of Lightning tells the guard to communicate with the government, report the situation to them. then begin to sing and more lightnings fall from the sky, creating a giant beast of level boss, surprising the Prota and the rest. It is so big that they can't even see his torso, and slowly approaches them. She and Hercadia start to bark, and Moroha jumps in the air and makes his own barks, sending a powerful attack as well. They combine their attacks and send them to the creature, but it doesn't do much damage, and Moroha tells everyone to lie on the ground. While the creature sends a powerful attack that literally destroys a mountain, Moroha suddenly remembers his other past life and gets a great boost of energy. He begins to clatter with determination, ready to use his forbidden spell. He hits the ground with all his strength, creating a huge wave of water, and everyone manages to stay afloat. He hits the water with his legs and sends huge tentacles of water to the lightning beast, catching it and finally destroying the giant beast. Everyone looks at this with astonishment as the sky clears. The Lightning Emperor can't believe he has destroyed his final beast, and his guards flee. He appears before her, and she begins to scramble, refusing to accept his defeat. She sends her Thunder Dragon, but he counteracts it simply with a water attack. She is in shock and finally accepts his defeat, willing to serve him. She begs for her life, but he reminds her of how cruel he was with his men. She continues to beg him, making him angry. And he says before leaving, everyone is happy that he has defeated her. And Angela is proud that she has won this war without taking anyone's life. At the academy, the director informs the others that Moroha defeated the Emperor of Lightning, and he's coming back. Everyone gets excited and happy to hear this news. But the director tells them that he will come using teleportation magic only tomorrow.